I'm listening to the book. The guy's name is he was the guy who ran mission control for Apollo 13.
Oh yes, okay.
And we all know what happened with Apollo 13. Houston, we got a problem. And he describes standing up the Space Center in Florida in the early days, and he described it exactly the way you've described where we are with mining. And that is to say, everybody who came out of university got a job launching rockets into space with people sitting on top of them, and bringing them back safely.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I thought, okay, there has to be something to all of this enthusiasm and young energy, and the university experience. There's something to be said for it. Let's not dismiss it.
Of course.
So too often in that conversation, to your point, and I think you were getting at, it's too easy to say it's got to be either or. You got to have a pretty good balance and blend to actually come up with the secret sauce that makes sure.
Well, it's a secret sauce. No one has a perfect recipe for
right,
it.
and that in that case, where you're particularly into an area of, big heavy machinery coming together with an industry now driven by software, and that kind of higher tech, we call it.
And now the companies are looking to optimize. Not that companies weren't always looking to optimize, but now that's what's really setting people apart. We can make more faster.
Right.
We can make more faster and better than you can. That's always been the prime point of competition. But I think the mines are taking these top-down approaches to massive optimization projects. We're going to bring in the technology, we're going to bring in the training, we're going to make sure we have the best tools, etc. These kind of big swinging changes that I think are really, really certainly good for a technology company like WipWare, because we can harness that and say, great, we have all the tools you need, we can train your people here, etc., etc. So that's really, really great. I think it was more so the individual before who was like, gosh, there's got to be a better way for me to do this. And they were begging their uppers for a little bit of funding to try some new technology out or try some new solution. And I think that's another big thing that's changed. It's like a team run towards, we can do this better. How? Let's find out how. Let's do some research.
Right. And that's where the innovation is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it happens. It happens in that openness to think of things in new ways. Maybe it's an old problem with a brand new solution we've been sitting in front of all these years. So let's get into what you guys do, because
sure.
One of the things, and you talk about the new tech solutions, and if I read this correctly, you could actually help when they're blasting to determine the size of the rock that ends up being coming out of that stone, large piece of. So I got a lot of questions about it. Why would anybody care? Let's start there.
Sure. Well, hopefully I won't make anyone upset by saying this, but at the end of the day, mining is about making big rocks into small rocks. And every step of mining, and I'm sorry, mining engineers, I'm not trying to simplify your job, but if I had to
do it for me, I'm the excuse.
Exactly.
This is fine.
If I had to explain it to a 4 or 5 year old, I would say, well, mining is just making big rocks into small rocks. And if you want to do a really good job at that, you got to know what size they are every step along the way. And that's what we do. Now, we do a little bit more than just size. We also do the shape of the rocks.
So again, I come back to my question. Why does that matter?
Why does that matter?
Process,
right. Okay. So, no, you're right. So let's say I blast two things too big, they don't fit in the truck that needs to move them. I blast them too small, the wind blows them away because they're dust now.
Yeah.
So I got to get the sweet spot in between, so it's going to be easy to move and load, put into the truck, bring to the next spot. The next spot, it gets dumped out of the truck, and this isn't always universal, but it gets dumped out of the truck and into a crusher. If the crusher can only take things up to a certain size, if they're too big, everything grounds to a halt. Someone's got to get in there into a dangerous situation where there's a lot of pressure, a lot of factors that could go wrong, and break that rock manually so that everything can start up again. And every mine I've ever been to, quarry, doesn't matter the size of the operation, there's a sign somewhere in the office that says 1 minute of downtime equals this much lost money.
Yeah.
So stopping is not an option, or unless there's a danger factor, that's the only time you stop. So that's a big thing. We don't want any reason to grind things to a halt. We don't want anything. We want to keep grinding things. We want to keep crushing, blasting, grinding down to our final product. And so in order to make sure there's no bottlenecks anywhere, you need to know what the size is.